Welcome to Quarantine with Lou. I'm your host and strategic partner in cost reduction, reducing your business expenses forever, Louis Fernandez. And today we're joined by Jake Harrell, the guy who specializes in memes about continuous improvement. And I did not believe they would be so funny, but they are. But before I get into that, if you're a fan of inspiring people and informative content, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do here. So go ahead and make a viral meme about you hitting the like button, share it on your social platforms. And with that, Jake, how are you doing today, man?
Nice to be here. Thanks for the introduction. And I thought that I was in quite a niche environment, and it turns out that that's probably just not the case.
No. There are more people making continuous improvement memes. Because I don't think I've seen any, or at least none that are any good.
Yeah, I think business is turning more into this world where our generation is. We can post memes about business, and that's perfectly fine.
That's true. I do. It's funny that older generations don't realize that like anybody can make a meme. That was an interesting experience for me explaining to my mom when she's like, "Oh, you made this?"
Make sure you take 2 pictures so you can mail me one.
Can I borrow your phone so I can take a picture of this thing on my phone?
Yeah, that is great. Actually, you would be surprised how many times I get DMs like, "How do you make this stuff?" And I'm like, literally, you go to make a meme, and the first Google result will tell you the website that I'm using.
Yeah. So, which is your preferred application for meme generation?
If I am making a GIF, it is on Jiffy, the world's largest GIF website. I'll download anything that's in the trending button, and then I challenge myself to how can I relate this to meme? What is my 420 IQ going to steer me toward? And as soon as I figured that out, I go onto another website called easygif.com where you upload a GIF and then you can add text or effects or anything else you want. I add some crappy text and I try it out once a day.
Now, is that so? You have to go to a website for that. You don't. You can't do that on your phone.
If there is a way, I have no idea. I know easygif.com does it for you click a button, put your GIF in there, put the text you want, and it spits it out.
And I have to say here, I found our first point of disagreement, my friend, because it is a GIF. It's not a GIF. Because it is a graphic.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I'm sorry I was late for the start of this meeting. My car just needed a quick tune-up, and I went over to Giphy Lube to get that repaired.
Oh, do they spell Giphy Lube with a G or with a J?
Oh.
Let me just check. I just need to check the graphics card on my computer here real quick because it seems like the video is cutting out.
Well, taking GIFs or GIFs out of the equation, I've been making memes for about a year now, every single day.
That's pretty outstanding. I am a little bit of a prolific memer myself.
You have no problem with me saying memes, but you took a problem with GIF. Like, I hate to call bullshit on your whole strategy here, but I just said memes, and you said, "Oh, yep, I do that too."
Well, see, here's the thing. I guess maybe because I'm looking at you, I could tell, like, okay, he's being sarcastic because we're playing off of this mispronouncing of GIF. And so, I figured that's what you were doing with your Mimi. That's good. I actually have a set of viral memes that I created a few years ago. They're not necessarily appropriate for LinkedIn. But if you look at CONUS battle drills, civilian integration tips, just Google that and you will find my memes. Yeah. I can send you a link after, but yeah. And I probably got, I don't know, somewhere in the tens of millions of engagement on those.
Man, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So, and I got the attention of a lot of like kind of, people that we fangirl about inside of the military circles. I made some friends out of it. It was kind of neat. It was a neat experience, but certainly wouldn't do well on LinkedIn. Lots of bad language on there, and it probably doesn't really make me a good Christian because of the amount of language that I have.
Well, for me, so part of like lean and continuous improvement is like meaningful progress and daily work. And so I just thought I'm going to build a discipline to I'm bringing this out of the ethos from the quantum reality every single morning. I'm not planning 100 in advance. I don't have a book worth what I'm referencing. I wake up in the morning, I go onto the meme websites and I reverse engineer. How can I make this about lean? And I've taught myself more than I've taught the world.
It's funny that I feel like probably most folks that do this are doing it the same way.
Yeah.
Like you're just kind of looking at a picture and then it's, oh, I got an idea with that. It's never, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever like thought about a photo that I need in order to, unless I've already made a meme out of something before. Like if it's already a meme out there, I can be like, well, I can repurpose that for my own deal. Apes together strong, right? Like there's
Yeah. Yeah. So it's in a similar vein. I'm on a lot of forums and topics that are like serious discussions around my career avenue. And I leverage that as well. Like I'll see something, somebody will just post something stupid or virtue signaling. And I'm like, I'm going to make a meme out of this today. And I think, I'm not sure if the people that I'm specifically targeting, like have the self-awareness enough to go, damn, that was about me. I don't know if they do or not, but they're all on my LinkedIn and they're all viewing my profile. So maybe some do, some don't, some mix of that.
I don't know that anybody would realize that, like, oh, that's about me, right? I feel like probably not. And probably, most people think that, well, I don't know. Because I think now that I'm going through this, people always believe that everyone is thinking about them. And I've noticed that like in the gym, like people will say like, oh, did you notice like such when I did such a like, no, but you did.
Yeah, like you do realize life is like the ultimate Rorschach test. We're like, I think that's on you, buddy. That's like that's what you're thinking about. Like I had one set of leaders that everybody was a worthless asshole. Everyone's had at least one job like that where the boss thinks no matter who you are, you're a worthless asshole. And I'm like, no, you're the worthless asshole here. Like you're just going and searching for, some self-fulfilling prophecy out there.
You're projecting at this point.
Yeah. I think life is quite a bit of
that. I still laugh about the direct message exchange that you and I had. So I posted about seeing a guy texting. It was on his iPad, I think. On his iPad.
It was an iPad?
I think, or was he texting? No, he was texting because he had it up. I'm not staring. I'm in the bathroom. Okay. There's kind of rules like when you're at the urinal, like your eyes are kind of you're focused on yourself. Okay.
Yeah, this is you projecting again. You were like, who could do that in a bathroom? But you're the guy looking at him. Like you're the guy going, let's examine this man's behavior while he's taking a shit.
That's it.
Let's put this on social media, which means my phone is out. Let's judge this guy.
Okay. First of all, we're at a urinal. Okay. He had a really nice watch on. No, I'm just kidding.
Fruit of the loom. Probably an XL, maybe an L.
So we're at a urinal. I'm focused. I'm looking straight down. And I see it up, and he's got his phone.
Talking about a phone, ladies and gentlemen.
He's got his phone. Yeah, that's right. He's got his phone, and he's like texting on the phone. And I'm just thinking, what could be so damn important that this process isn't a very long process? I know I can be in and out of here in 90 seconds. Like I know, and I'm with a 30-second hand wash, right? So what are you doing that like you have to stop at this particular moment and send that text? Like this is this important that I have to send this text. Anyway, so I posted about that at LinkedIn. Jake sent me a message. It was an audio message of like, did you go into the bathroom to film that that exchange or to record that?
I did not. In fact, it was the most embarrassing moment of my life as well, because I'm at work, right? I'm in the office clear by myself, just being me, whatever. I see your post and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. And I start to record and I'm going, Louise, how are you doing? And as I'm doing this, somebody walks into my office to figure out what I'm doing. They're like, what? I came in here for another reason. Now I just don't want to know you. Like, I'm just kind of done with this. And it was hilarious and embarrassing and just went right along with.
Well, that was quite a risk because you and I had not spoken via direct message. And, I got that. Not much. I mean, we had exchanged like a little bit. And I thought about it. And I listened to that and I thought, okay, this dude's got guts because like he doesn't, we don't really know each other. Like he just,
It could have just been offensive as hell and rubbed you all kinds of wrong.
he just put it out there, man. Like, I thought, what is the least expected thing that I could do back? And so I did go into the bathroom when I recorded my audio message and I flushed the toilet in the middle of my discussion.
And somebody knew you were doing that and they posted about it on LinkedIn. What kind of sick motherfucker is up here just in the restroom recording as he flushes? Who's got that kind of time? That's what the first guy was up to. He saw somebody on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I heard this dude record like talking on the phone while he was in the bathroom. What could be so important? Like, I don't know, dude. You're the one that sent a text while you're trying to pee. You probably made a mess while you're doing that too, because you're not focused on what you're doing here. Right?
Does that job require a level of focus?
Well, I mean, I want to pay attention to where it's going.
Well, I think some people are streamers and some are sprayers by default. Some of us don't have these issues where I know as soon as I'm exposed, I know right where it's going. I don't even have to.
I like to stay focused just in case, You never know if you have to sneeze or cough or something. You got to keep that thing under control.
Well, see, you of all people can appreciate that time is money. So how that guy was multitasking was a time-saving behavior.
Unless he peed on his pants.
Unless he's a salaried pisser.
I had an employee one time. This was some years ago, and he said, if I have to poop, I will hold it until I get to work. And I was like, why would you do that? And he's like, because I get paid to poop here. And he had done the math, like he had kept a log of how many poops he had. This is legit. He had kept
a bad choice of words, but continue. You said he poops at work and he kept a log.
He kept a log.
Like, why, dude? Why? Just take your money and go.
He had kept a diary of all of the events that he had and how long each of them did, and then tallied up the number of minutes that he had spent, and then did the math and figured, and I don't remember what it was, but he had gotten paid, like I want to say it was like $2,200 in a year by the company for his poops.
Did that have taxes and benefits included?
No.
I'm just gonna say the guy had a bright future if he got it exactly right.
Yeah. So that was funny. Now, one of the things I like to do, and generally we don't go like straight into stuff like we just did. I like to get to know folks, but we're not going to do anything by the book here today. So where are you originally from?
I am from the middle of nowhere town, just south of Dallas.
Okay. And where are you currently at?
I'm currently in Dallas, Dallas, Texas. You can't tell by the hillbilly accent. This is where I've been my entire life.
Dude, your accent is not bad at all.
Well, put a drink in me and ask it again.
Yeah, I can do that too. I used to live in Knoxville, Tennessee, and there's video of me as a child speaking like this to my mother. Now, if that's not funny enough, what makes it even better is that my name is Luis Fernandez, and I didn't learn English until I was in kindergarten.
The way you just did your name, could you do the most interesting man in the world for me?
I don't even know what the most interesting. Is it just a look? Like what's?
No, just I don't always drink. But
Oh,
when I do,
yes. I don't always drink. I don't know. I don't even know the line, so it's gonna be messed up. And I'm halfway through my Jack and Coke at this point. I'm gonna have to put explicit on this YouTube now. By the way, so
I'll try to hold back. I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. I mean, I'm not editing it. So, by the way, if like of the 3 people that watch this, if one of you knows how to edit video and is feeling altruistic, let me know because I have exactly zero.
We can both save you money between me reviewing your video editing process and him seeing what software you pay for it. Probably between us, save you $1 or $2.
So, okay. So you moved from middle of nowhere to Dallas. Did you, I mean, did you stop at college first as, I assume you're some sort of CI engineer now, or is that?
That is incorrect entirely.
Okay.
You have to have an engineering degree to be one of those things. So if I can give you the long spiel just for you to have meaningless content for these 4 viewers. In the middle of nowhere, Jake was born and raised, and the farm is where he spent most of his days. And you thought I was going to keep going with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air there for a second.
I was hoping.
If I had that written and prepared, this would have just been,
gosh,
this would have been the most, so coming from the middle of nowhere, I've been in a warehouse right out of high school and kept saying, pick me, and people kept being dumb enough to pick me. So currently I am an operations manager in the third-party logistics. So if it's food and it's in Texas, odds are I touch it in a warehouse and lead a group of people that do the same.
So why CI?
So the large gap of what's missing between the 2 philosophies.
Hold on, time out real quick. Like I understand the value, the need, and the purpose of CI when it comes to your job. All right, because I'm in a similar role, but just not for food. So I get that. Just to put out there, but most of your content is all about CI. So I guess that's where I'm asking your question here.
So to answer that question, if I may, is
No, I'm going to interrupt one more time.
Okay. So a lot of people get stuck on the set of tools that are used in continuous improvement between like DMAIC cycles and our black belt projects and what have you. But most of my interest is around the philosophy and how you lead with the respect for people and how you treat and develop people within that work environment and focus on attacking the system to get more of the results that you want. And I've had a lot of success with that in my career and developed quite a few people that what makes me love the warehouse the most is that you always get sort of, I can't say this without being absolutely evil, but sort of the bottom of the low skilled labor workforce. It was retail maybe 10, 15 years ago, but as e-commerce goes up, there's less and less retail, more and more industrial. And naturally, folks that would be in an hourly retail position are now in an hourly warehouse position. And so what I try to do, it's been my career, is I have started my life as, that bottom end in a warehouse, is how do I develop people and remove the luck from this equation? A lot of times when I look at people's lives that are supervisors or managers or general managers or directors that came out of that hole, it's been purely circumstance. Like I was here at the right time when they needed a supervisor. I was here and I was the hardest worker when I decided you just made manager. I thought instead of that, I would work to provide tools and resources that I could engineer people getting what they want out of their lives. And that's kind of been what makes me wake up in the morning.
That's legit. I am a fan. Have you been listening to my book, the Keep On Leading audiobook that I put out there?
I have not. Yeah, so when you started your first section, I got a call from work I just ignored because of that exact thing. I'm like, well, work is abound, but I'm going to listen to every one of it.
All right. Well, there's only 2 chapters out right now. So, but it's very similar to what you're talking about. And one of my things, and it's probably a little bit from the military of, you never know who's going to be there tomorrow. And so the bench is just as important as the starting lineup. And working like whenever the day before I promote somebody, I've already started to think about who's going to be the next one. right? Like, so the day I give out an acceptance letter or whatever, an offer, when I get that acceptance letter, I'm already thinking, okay, who's next, and how do we start developing, these folks and these teams, and offering up that opportunity and doing the same thing that you're talking about, of training those folks up. And my leaders, I always see them as, one of the things I like to ask them is, okay, so who's going to replace you, right? So if you're not here, who takes over? And like training those people, giving them opportunities, and generally you get like 3 or 4 names. And then it's like, okay, let's give some people a chance, and let's give them more of those leadership opportunities and the like, and go out there. But yeah, I guess I didn't capture. So what are you looking for when you're on LinkedIn and you're producing that content? For you, like for me, my end goal is to get more clients. I'm out there looking for people that own a business, and they have a telephone, or they run a credit card, or they've got a truck that they're driving or whatever, and or they power the lights. We got utilities now too, and we save them money, right? So for me, I'm looking for people that have businesses. Your stuff, I find it highly enjoyable, which I just like every time I see one and I laugh. I'm like, I can't believe that this CI meme is this fun, because I'm a black belt. It is the most mundane, freaking mind-numbing mathematics, and I like math, and yet we found a way to make a subject that already isn't interesting and make it less interesting. And
In Japanese.
in Japanese. And yes, oh gosh. And I look at your stuff and I'm like, dude, if I'd have seen this like 5 years ago, I might be in a different path, because I probably would have stuck with, that CI realm or whatever. So what are you looking for? What are you trying to, besides the inspiration stuff, like who are you looking to attract while you're on LinkedIn?
So there's a bit of an equivocation fallacy here, where we have big events happen in our lives and we think there's got to be a big cause underlying those big events. And honestly, with all of the soul of my being, I am not out for anything. The meme started in June of last year as pure Schadenfreude, where I had been through some misfortune with some crappy leadership at a couple of different roles, and saw how the outcomes affected a group. And so I'm like, I'm going to start poking fun at that. Let me start with this. And then it took off. It's been such a fun thing. And once I did it for about 30 days, I never stopped doing it. And I have no intentions of stopping going forward.
It's outstanding. And I can't believe we're talking this much about the like memes, because, well, I can. It's a form of art. It does take it is the art of trolling. It's a you got to have a special sort of way of putting random things that don't seem to be associated together, and then putting a twist on it that somebody's gonna like. If you told me to make memes about I don't know that I could do it. And every time I see one, I'm like, dude, like your level of creativity and the way, if you think about like the web that your mind is bringing things together, that is just like insane to me. And so I guess I'm like in this weird place of like awe and enjoyment, and surprise and humor. Like,
Well, the one thing is I found is like CI is very like the actual tools and learning is very unrelatable. Like I'm not going to walk up to any normal person and go, well, you're the third standard deviation. Like that's not going to get anyone anywhere. So I found out that if I start off by making it funny first, how many people learn more about core concepts after watching a freaking meme about it?
yeah.
Like a video I had a couple of weeks ago. I just got into like videos getting onto my schedule.
Mm.
And just it's my girlfriend holding my phone, really shaky cam out in the middle of the city somewhere. And I pop out from a bush and I go, if you lead a team and a defect embarrasses you, you're the problem. And that video got like 3,000 views, and it was the most nothing video. I spent 17 seconds worth of thought in putting together. And I felt like like, that's true. Like, people do have that problem. They're a leader and they go, ooh, how embarrassing. This thing happened.
Yeah.
Who cares, man? Fix the problem. That's what we're paid to do.
You know what I always got frustrated with? So I was a program manager for a while for John Deere, bringing new products to market. And part of that, at the end of your product life cycle is continuous improvement. And so you do get some some projects are like pure CI or cost reduction. By the way, if anybody doesn't know, CI is continuous improvement, and that is the process by which you improve process. Right? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's
It is the philosophical belief that everything can and should be improved upon.
yes. And honestly, if you and I think like generally we understand like market forces, you have to get better or you die. Right? In
Yeah.
order to survive in the marketplace, you must continuously improve. Like you have to always get better. Your competition is on your heels. And if you don't, you die. Blockbuster, dead. They did not improve. They did not see market forces changing. They laughed off the red box guys. They ignored the Netflix dudes. They're dead.
I was going to make a much more unfortunate connotation, but I thought, let's leave your YouTube video at explicit.
What was your?
Let's not take it up another notch.
We've already done it, so might as well.
I can't do it. I can't do it. It's for some reason I am never at the bottom of the barrel of like where humor and stuff lists, but for some reason the last 2 or 3 days it's just I'm sharing terrible stuff that has no business. On LinkedIn, I got one I actually ended up taking down because it was something about your boss telling you to fix something but don't actually change anything. And it's a kid on a mower, one of those toy John Deere mowers, and he comes and he just mows down the other kid. And it's so funny, but I immediately got like 3 people like, holy crap, is that kid dead? I'm like, no, that's not what I meant to do at all.
So where was I going with that thought, dude? I lost my train of thought there, but we were talking about improving and continuously improving. And right before that, we were talking about something else, and one of the 2 listeners is now saying, okay, dude, get it together.
Yeah, it's about the web of thinking that leads to my content and what I want out of it.
Yeah. And how
there's nothing, man.
And that's wild to me. That's wild to me that out there, because I don't know that I've ever generated any content without kind of like a motivation behind it. I think for me, I got 3 kids and a wife, and I can smell the tacos that she's cooking right now in this room. And if I did not have to work at all, I wouldn't. I would spend all my time with my family, and I don't think I would have any social media platform if I didn't need to.
Yeah, I think one thing that's interested me here lately that's probably fed into it is a lot of people get half results because they have a preconception of the direction an improvement project should take them. So like all of my greatest projects, I don't even know what the best way is or a better way. I just go and do the work with somebody, ask questions, see how they do it today. And I think through what's the best possible way this could ever be and sort of work that backwards into reality. So I don't have a preconception going in at all, which I feel like everybody does, like you said with your posts, in every point in their lives. They have a precognition of how I want things to go. And I thought, you know what, let's just not do that at all and see what shakes.
Yeah, no, certainly my public persona, I'm with that. When I'm in the office, I'm engaging folks. I don't have that. And in fact, I think as a leader to be effective, you need to be willing to walk into conversations that you have no idea where they're going to go. And I think that's going to make you more effective. And be willing to sometimes just shut your mouth. Like just shut up and listen to people. Let them talk. You don't always have to give a response. You don't always have to be right. Just listen to what they're saying. And honestly, one of the things that I think is important, particularly for continuous improvement, is talking to the lowest rung person. Like who is wrenching right now? Who is, or carrying or driving the forklift or whatever, taping? Who is that person that's doing that labor that you're trying to improve upon? Talk to them. And what do they say? What is their idea on how to make the job better? Right. Because no one's going to be more frustrated about a particular task than the dude that's doing it for 40 hours a week.
Exactly, 100%. I was just talking with one of these super executive lean folks, and they said, and I brought up a similar question to which they asked, well, my sensei told me, and that's what spawned my post yesterday. I'm like, okay, let's invite my sensei with my signature sense of superiority. And I posted a picture like Christopher Lee, like, and I'm like, you don't get to be that way. The guy doing the work does not give a shit who your kung fu master was. Like, let's talk about the actual work and how we're actually going to make realistic change.
Absolutely. That, and you know, I like to give the example. I think in different programs I've given this example before, but when we were in Iraq, by the time I got there, this thing had already been created. But in southern Iraq, one of the problems that we had were these IEDs, the improvised explosive devices. They were called EFPs, so an IED EFP, A B C D G. But the EFP was an explosively formed projectile, is what it was called.
I don't know bombs, so it took me a minute to know that you switched from people could fucking die from these bombs to let's do a nursery rhyme. Like, it just took me a second to compensate it. Like, what? Like,
Stay with me here, bro.
Yeah.
So anyway, the way these bombs were designed is there was basically a catastrophic kill when it went off, and they were set off by an infrared detection. So if you go into your house and you see the little alarm thing kind of turn red, it's an infrared sensor. It notices the heat of your body, and then that's how the alarm works. So you can't really hide from them or whatever. And some young, I think he was a private or a specialist, young E3 or E4. He was a mechanic. He figured that out, and he took some lines from the engine, and he extended them out on a boom in front of the vehicle, and put it into a box. Ran the lines around this box, and then ran it back into the engine. So he had to put more fluid in there. But basically, this hot liquid was leaving the engine compartment, going out in front of the vehicle, spinning around, heating up this box, and then coming back to the truck. And what would happen is it would detonate the explosive device off the box and save the truck. Now, of course, the enemy then adjusted their tactics, and then we had to adjust ours or whatever. But this was a guy on the very bottom rung. So, I don't like saying bottom rung, but this is a guy low on the totem pole, and kind of just, he was a worker bee that had this idea that saved thousands of lives, and made a fundamental difference in the way we fought that war, right? And we improved upon that design as well. So there's like a whole thing about it. But the point is, here's a guy who is on the road every day, and his life was on the line, and he figured out, how am I going to protect my own ass and then everyone around me. And so again, talking to the person who's actually doing the work, and this is something that I just don't feel like I see enough of senior leaders, really senior leaders, talking to the people that are on the ground.
Yeah, soliciting that kind of improvement.
Right. Because if you're a CEO, you don't know where your next idea is going to come from. And first off, you don't have a monopoly on good ideas. You've had a few. That's why you're in the position that you're in, and you've created this company or whatever. And the people that you've surrounded yourself with, your directors and executive team or whatever, they've had some good ideas too, but that doesn't mean that good ideas can't come from somewhere else. And the next $1 million idea, it may be walking around, clocking in every day for 8 hours and walking out. And you should pay attention to those folks. Or, like I said with Blockbuster,
Die.
Yeah, that's gonna be the guy. What was the he worked at Red Lobster? Damon John. He was a waiter at Red Lobster, and then he started Fubu, and now he's one of the Shark Tank guys.
Yeah, I'm drawing a total blank there. I have no
You're
idea who
drawing a
you're talking.
total blank. Oh my gosh.
I don't know what a FUBU is. You know, your military stories have this Neil Armstrong effect. Are you familiar with that idea?
Not at all.
Well, imagine you're having lunch with Neil Armstrong, right? And you're in the past, not some creepy post mortem situation. And you're talking to him, and you're like, "Man, you will not believe this. 2 weeks ago, I went on this awesome trip down to Tampa, enjoyed myself out near the beach, and just got in those suns." And the guy lets you rattle off your whole neat vacation story, and he goes, "Well, there was this one time I went to the fucking moon." And no matter what story you tell, that's elevated on such a level that yours is worthless. Why did it even come out of your stupid mouth? And yeah, like all of my good stuff is like forklift stories, and you're like, "Whoa, there's
Oh.
explosives."
Well, now I feel bad.
Like, can you imagine if like you die and go to the pearly gates, and it's like, "All right, before we let you in, the one thing you have to do is outtell a story to Neil Armstrong. That's all you have to do." Like, where do you even reach for? Like, what do you do? Like, all right, my bad. Like,
So this way, like down, that's
yep,
the
that's where I'm going.
he, while we're on that, I have often wondered, by the way, so a week ago or so, I interviewed a guy on this podcast. It hasn't published yet, but at the time that we're talking, but it will go out. And he owns a company that builds life support systems for people in outer space. Okay, now you see where I made this connection.
Mhm.
um, so I was talking to him, and one of the things he mentioned something, and we were talking a little bit about how humans are the one species that are able to live and experience things vicariously through other humans. And he said, um, he said, uh, who who can name the first rover on the moon before Neil Armstrong came on? And he talks about, like, when he gives his TED talks and stuff, like he asked that question, and then he doesn't answer. He's like, and he goes, inevitably somebody will ask me, like, what was the name of the rover? And he goes, I don't know, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Neil Armstrong. Like, and the idea that people going to Mars, he said basically when a person lands on Mars, that's going to be a major worldwide event. And so I was just kind of thinking about, that living vicariously, what it must have felt like. Like, you know, I assume that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, like these guys, they probably bullshitted with each other a little bit, right? And at some point, Buzz was like, "You asshole, you're getting to be the first man on the moon. Everyone's gonna remember your name. No one's gonna know who the fuck I am, right?" And then it was like, "Well, what are you gonna say? Everybody's gonna be watching. What are you gonna say?" And they probably had some jokes and some, but I wonder, like, the pressure of getting to that point and just knowing that there are literally million, like the entire planet is watching you right now.
I'd be so mad that I didn't get the Toy Story character. All of that work, I could have a Neil Lightyear, like all of that good work. And you're like, you know what?
So I don't know, and maybe his words were given to him. I don't know the story. Somebody probably does, but um, just something I was, thinking about, like the pressure that must have been on that guy, just from what he's going to do, and at what point does he relax? I've never been under any sort of scrutiny and pressure like that before. I did some drama when I was in high school. I did. I was a little bit of an actor, and I talk about that with Mark Morris on my podcast with him, because he was an actor as well, and he owned a theater. And but So, I mean, but that's like 300 people watching you. Like, what do you, oh man, I can't imagine. I can imagine the pressure of those kinds of decisions and the tactics that you are following or whatever at that point. So.
Yeah, can you imagine how much sleep that guy must have not got the night before? It's like, well, today I'm right here on the bed, and tomorrow I am on the moon. I can't even relate at all.
Not at all. And that's what's crazy, and I'm always fascinated to talk to these people that have done this kind of stuff, or even listen to their discussions, right? Because one of the points that this guy brought up last week was he was saying, did you walk out this morning and think to yourself, is there enough oxygen for me to make it through the day? Like, no, but that's a problem that astronauts face and they have to consider. Oh. And how did we get to that when we were talking about CI memes?
Mostly that I was going to tell some lighthearted, well, here's how this forklift guy got 2 more pallets an hour. And you were like, well, people could die with my improvement project. Just immediately make me feel like, ooh.
No, that wasn't the intent at all. And actually, no, that's legit though. That those 2 pallets an hour. And I think that's where people also miss, right? Because we're looking for, okay, in the same strategy that folks have with their social media, they want that viral post, right? But that's just the one post, okay? That doesn't make the fundamental lasting difference. It's that slow buildup from going from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 10,000 to, whatever. And that's where you get. The same, I think, holds true. Like everybody wants that project that's going to save, 50% in cost. Now, if they call me, they may get that. But I'm talking about in their productivity and their production. Like you're not going to get that. We're talking about 1%, 2%, 3%.
The idea is a consistent, repeatable 1% through the vicarious methodology. And that stacks up anybody who said, would you rather have $1 million or 1 penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Which would be more? You ever heard that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's like, oh, take the million. Like, well, you're an idiot. That's the whole idea behind the philosophy. Discipline yourself on saving $1 today and then watch that compound over time.
Right. and then it starts to get really extreme. Especially if you go back, we can even look at our own productivity as a species, right? And they say, well, productivity has increased 700% and wages have only gone up 3, or something along those lines. But that is something that like you can continue to stack that up and see those major improvements. And now you're taking like, what would happen if you were able to work your employees an extra 2 hours a day and not have to pay them? Right? Like how much more would you get out of that? What effect would that have on your business if you didn't have to pay, there was no cost associated with 2 more hours of production a day? Well, that's what you can get if you're smart about your damn continuous improvement and you're focused about it, because you will get there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you status quo your whole operation, I'm going to pay exactly $1,000 a day, and I'm going to exactly make $1,200 a day. You have that exact same impact if you just focus on your expenses. And if you got too many to manage, like I think I know a guy. Oh, forgive me. I left all my shame somewhere else.
I do the same thing like when I trip. And or it's like, you okay? I'm like, yep, it's just a little bit of pride that I left back there, but other than that, I'm good.
You ever find yourself in an establishment and you can like visualize the waste of what they're doing?
Yes.
I find this all the time. Like I'm in a taco joint and I watch the lady move one direction to get the cheese and come back and go somewhere else to get like tomatoes or some shit. And I'm just like, this just needs a spaghetti diagram. Like, you're not walking in a straight line. What are you doing?
I think once you know something, then it's hard to turn that off. Because like um we were calling we got a new dog, we're calling the vet, and they said, "Oh, I'll just charge it over the phone." And so we gave the credit card number, and I was like, oh. The same as that tomato thing, because they're paying a card not present fee, and like those things rack up. And how often does that employee of that company just say, "Oh yeah, while I got you on the phone, I'll just take this payment, and then you can just pick it up when you get here." Like, they're already going. Please swipe the card when they get there, right? So it's kind of the same principle. Like if that manager just said, "Do not take the card over the phone, period," all of a sudden they got an extra 10 grand a year, just like that. Right. Yep. And so the same principle holds true with oh, you got to go over here, and then they got to walk over there, and then they got to walk over there, and then they got to walk over there. Like, okay, are you willing to put your employee on a treadmill and pay for them to walk for 3 hours a day? They're not going to produce anything, but you're going to pay them their wages.
Yep, that's coming out of your pocket.
And they're just going to walk.
Like largely, and what's been my favorite lately is we don't tend to visualize that in administrative environments. We just don't. Like, you realize you're paying a lady like staple for 20 hours. We make printers that fucking do this. Come on. And she just answers the phone. "This is Linda with customer service. How can I help you?" Like, we have machines that can do this in 2021. I'm not saying your job's not important. I want to make it important. I want to make it valuable. And I want to remove the mundane stuff so you can focus on the more valuable tasks. That's what I want for you.
Right. And yeah, and it's surprising how much gets missed, because so I had another one, and this is an example that maybe will hit home with some folks and not with others. I had a manager that I happened to see his calendar one day. I don't remember what was going on, but I looked at his screen and I said, "Is that your calendar?" This was at John Deere. And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "And all of those are meetings?" And he's like, "Yeah." Said, "So John Deere is paying you $150,000 a year to basically sit in a meeting room and chat." And he kind of laughed and was like, "Well, there's like an hour before and after in the emails that I answered and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, pretty much." Absolutely unreal. Absolutely unreal. The amount of time that is wasted in those damn conference rooms, just chatting it up. People always get surprised because my meetings end early because I don't want to be in the damn conference room, especially not now. But before, I didn't either. Like, okay, today's purpose of this meeting is to accomplish X. As soon as we have accomplished X, the meeting is over.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me. And I have exactly one experience. So I figure this is pretty rare, but maybe not as rare as my charitable brain wanted to think, where I had an employee, and this is long ago in my past, so recent jobs need not think that I'm targeting you. But we came with a really good idea, a huge idea that eliminated a middleman out of a manufacturing process. Like, we were essentially building materials, if that doesn't live too many hints. And this would remove, like, take our numbers from 150 to 149, right, in this scenario. And they took the idea and they did it, and they fired him.
What?
They didn't need that extra role anymore at all, his own role. And I thought, do you know how much you just poisoned the psychology of every human being that has any more tenure with this company, alongside their children and their children's children? Like, you destroyed the earth. I'm blaming it on you. Not the guy who came up with leaded gasoline. I'm blaming it on you. You take this place. Like, for you to take that guy's grandiose idea and then have the audacity to post something later that's, "Do anybody else got any good ideas you want to run by?" Hell no, we don't. Why, hell no, we do not. Like, so most of my career journey was here's a laundry list of things to not do. And that left me with what little was left was probably some of the right things. So I've been up to it since.
That sounds like a fake story. Like, but at the same, it sounds like something like The Office, right? Like something they would write in The Office. Like Dwight finds a way of improving their printer production.
Himself out of his job. Yeah, it's so.
Michael comes out and it's like,
It's so
Dwight,
asinine.
you're my friend, but I have to fire you, Dwight.
Yeah. I'm legally like not allowed to talk about the specifics of the next one, but I've got an even twice as much asinine story. I'll send you a screenshot of the text because it's so unbelievable. But yeah, like you would not believe how much culture and corporations get in their own way of getting what they want. And it's funny that that clarity just largely isn't there.
And one of the things I've seen is that a lot of the information is hidden from the senior leadership.
Yeah, that have you ever seen the Yoshida's Iceberg of Ignorance?
No.
No, that's an interesting one you should pull up. So it's basically there's a picture of an iceberg, and everything that's above the water is all a senior leader can see. Well, all of the rest of like the 90% of the iceberg is crap you're completely ignorant to in your business at all time, and it's a fascinating concept.
All the more reason why you should be, getting down there and talking to the people at the bottom. I was in a meeting where we were making a briefing to the CEO of John Deere, who's now retired. And there was one particular slide, and it was like a busy slide, it had a bunch of shit on it. And they put it up there, and this dude was so damn sharp. So the guy presenting is like a vice president, I think is what he was. So you got a vice president talking to the CEO of a Fortune 100 company. I happen to be in the room. And he looks at, and I'm going to use a different name, but he looks at the thing and he looks at the slide, and the guy, the vice president's talking. The CEO's half listening, half looking at the slide. And he goes, Jim, the fuck is that in the corner? And he's like, oh, that's, whatever it was. I don't really want to say it. And it's like, that's that. We put these numbers together to make that. Jim, don't bullshit me, Jim. You're bullshitting me with that fucking slide, and I know it. I could see it right there. Don't bullshit me. What's the real number?
I thought for a second there you were gonna have a great Batman like impression of the CEO. What does the slide say? What is in the corner of the slide? Don't bullshit me.
So it was like everything I had. Like I nudged my buddy next to me because we were nobodies, and I nudged him. I was like, "Did you hear that shit? Like, man, he just got his ass ripped in front of all of
four friends all." I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Yeah, it was wild, man. And I was presenting after that, so I was like, man, if the vice president just got chewed up like that, what's going to happen when I go? Like I'm an ant in here, we got lions at the table, and here I'm going to come out. No, I did all right. He actually didn't have any questions for me, but the point is that to be aware of all these things that are going on and understand that as much as you care for and trust the people that you put around you, they're probably going to wash off the problems before they come to you. You're not getting the raw deal. You're really not.
Yeah, nowhere even close to it.
No, you're getting the most vanilla version possible. That's going to be the easiest for you to swallow, and I think that's probably like everyone I talk to that they're always telling me, oh, we watch our expenses like a hawk. Okay, I'm sure you do. Everybody does. And guess what? We save 95% of our clients' money, and every one of them watch their expenses like a hawk. So what are you going to tell me? And in the CI world, oh, we've got a very efficient process. I'm sure you do. Can it be better?
I hope you do, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, we don't need CI. Can you imagine? We don't need CI. We have reached maximum productivity. It cannot get any better than this right now.
I shouldn't drop this on a video, but I'm going to anyways, just because it's been in the works for some time. But I always thought that people constantly talk about excellent warehouses and what does excellence actually look like. And, that's also my hashtag and the title of a book. But, excellence is all they just can't shut up about. So I just thought, what if I took that one step further? What would that look like in a warehouse setting? So I'm working on Coolio's version of Warehouse Paradise. I'm seriously going to drop a rap album. I'm going to be the first person in continuous improvement to make a rap album.
Been living warehouse life. That's awesome. I'm a fan. I'm looking forward to that. So what words of parting wisdom can we give to now at this point, the one guy who's still listening?
Parting words of wisdom. Well, if you have any interest in CI, definitely reach out and follow the content. Message me about anything. I'm not making a living or a career out of this. So if I just help people along the way, I get the true sixth sense of enjoyment by vicariously living through you, which Louise said we're all capable of.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And I think if you have listened to this point, we deserve a like on this video or this podcast or whatever.
Smash that subscribe and that notification bell so you see more videos like this regular. Nice to see you, bros. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Without further ado,
I don't even know who my mockery voice is. It's some weird young Sean Connery almost. Welcome to the YouTube.
Without further ado, we will begin the video now at this point. Thank you.
Your impression's so much better than mine. I'm going somewhere else. Guys, the video. Watch it. I'll kick your legs.
All right, guys. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss out on any notifications. With this, we're going to keep playing Warcraft, and I'm going to hit the tower today. You're going to love this one.
The greatest podcast of all time. Subscribe to this podcast. There is no greater podcast. This is the one.
If you're going to listen to a podcast, this is the one. Thank you. All right.
Mine are pretty unacceptable.
Yeah, they've cut off. It's just you and me now. I don't think anyone is ever going to reach this point. In fact, here's what I will do. Besides you, and you can't tell anybody that I'm saying this, but whoever is listening to this right now and sends me the word, give me kind of a silly word that no one would ever.
Genchi Genbutsu.
What? Genchi Genbutsu?
It's the Japanese term for when action or an idea comes up, you go out to where the work is to see what's happening.
Okay.
Genbutsu.
Genchi Genbutsu. Anybody who sends me that, I will send you a book that I will personally sign.
Or any terrible misspelling of that phrase, because good luck.
Shit, dude. I'm going to end up having to send like 10 books. I may have to take this back. The first person that sends me that, I'll send them up. I haven't sold enough books to pay for this yet, guys.
Yeah. The correct spelling gets a special prize.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll chat again soon.